Hey there, YouTube family and GN subs. It's Humberto, attorney from the West Side, Los Angeles. Hope you're doing well. And today we got something really special for you. I've been asked a lot of questions about how do I get my spouse from overseas to the U.S. So I'm going to go step by step how you can get your spouse in the U.S. This video is going to provide you with cover letters, with information, with the law, with everything that you're going to need to file this application on your own. All right, so let's get at it. All right, so it's important to start with the law, right? The law is found at 8 CFR 204.1. That gives you the law on what the actual I-130 petition is and how you start that process in terms of filing. Generally, there's two ways to file this application. One is here in the U.S., and the other is at the U.S. consulate overseas. That's the one we're going to focus on today, okay? Adjustment of status, we've already covered that before, but this is how you file what we call a straight I-130 or I-129 petition to get your spouse to the U.S. All right, so let's talk about it, break it down a little bit. So there is an I-130 petition for a green card, and then there is an I-129 petition for a K3. What's the difference, okay? The I-130 is for the green card. The K3 is a temporary visa, which will allow your spouse to come to the U.S. on a temporary basis. Now, the K3 was set up because the I-130 petitions were taking way too long. So you would file the I-130 petition, even though a visa was immediately available. It was taking way too long. So they came up with the K3 temporary visa for them to come while you're waiting for the I-130 petition to be approved, and then you can adjust in the U.S. from the K3 to the I-130. Again, two separate things. Now, what I do in my practice is I file both at the same time, and I take whatever comes first, okay? Today, they're taking about the same time, about 8 months in terms of adjudication, but over the years, I've been surprised. Sometimes the I-130 petition comes approved quicker. Other times the K3 comes faster. If the I-130 is approved, the K3 is automatically revoked. I put a link in the description box that tells you when a K3 is automatically revoked, so you can check that out. Here is how you file each of these petitions, okay? Let's go through it. Here's a K3 petition. Here's the cover letter. This is exactly what you need to put in the petition to get it approved. You have the I-130, you have the I-129. Again, for the K3, you have to still file the I-130, I-129, etc. You put your filing fee, marriage certificate, birth certificates, etc. It's all here, folks, all right? Here's the I-130, okay? Here's how you file the I-130. Here's a checklist. Here's the cover letter. That's what you do, folks. Get these forms, fill them out, attach this information, and file it at the proper service center, okay? As you see, there's different service centers for each one of these, and you look at the uscis.gov website to determine where you file. They're very good, right? They say if you're filing your I-130 overseas for consular processing, this is the service center where you file. All right, let's talk a little bit about the substantive evidence that goes along with the actual filing. Marriage certificate, all right? The marriage certificate has to be certified by the state where you live in your foreign country, okay? It cannot be, for example, a customary marriage. You know, Kenya, Colombia, a lot of different countries have a customary marriage. It's not a marriage by the state that's certified by the state. Customary marriages don't work, all right? Other marriage certificates that do work, for example, in Iran, you can get married for 5 years, right? It's a 5-year contract. It's sort of like, you know, in Iran, the culture is you can't be seen in public until you're married. So while you're dating, they have this temporary marriage certificate, valid by the state, actually valid for immigration purposes, all right? So as long as your marriage certificate is authorized by the state, issued by the state, perfect, okay? Birth certificates, right? This is my favorite. They have to be a long form birth certificate. That means it has to list both parents, mother, father, etc. Canada, some countries, there's the short form birth certificates. That doesn't work, folks. So make sure you have a long form birth certificate. What if you're in your country and you cannot get a birth certificate? That happens a lot. So you'll get a letter, that the birth certificate's not available. in Turkey, for example, the big earthquake, all of the entities that housed the birth certificates were destroyed. So they had no more records. So you get a letter stating that, then you can get 3 affidavits from people who knew you at the time of the birth, and you're able to show your birth through affidavits, right? You also can include, for example, if you have your baptismal papers, that could be part of the evidence if you do not have a state-issued birth certificate. Okay, you file this application in the proper place and it gets approved, right? So what happens at that point, it goes from USCIS to the NVC, the National Visa Center. That's where they start processing the file to send it to the U.S. consulate, where you'll have an interview and pick up your green card. So you'll deal with NVC. NVC is really streamlined these days, very good. You go online, nvc.gov, and the way they have the system set up now is all electronic. So you have an electronic case number, and you just go point by point with NVC. They're very good at instructing you on exactly what to do and how to do it. All right, so finally, you're at the interview, right at the U.S. consulate. You'll get email notification, again, instruction, what exactly to bring with you at the U.S. consulate for the interview. One thing that they don't tell you on the spousal petitions, and I would recommend it, is that you bring evidence of the relationship. All of your phone calls, if you've met in person, photos. I want you to bring the joint documentation that we always speak about. You're not going to have much, but I want you to bring something. Again, your text messages, emails, any way that you communicate, you want to have that available to give to the U.S. consul, okay? The petitioner need not go to the interview either for the K-3 or for the I-130, okay? So just know that. All right, YouTube family, thanks so much for watching GrayLaw TV. Remember, go to my frequently asked questions section. There's a lot of good stuff. For example, this video will be there, okay? It'll be like, how do I get my spouse to the U.S. from overseas? You can watch this video again, step by step, how to get your spouse here. Great stuff, folks. Give me a thumbs up, and we'll see you next time.